let's move on to our next step in the process. So we've downloaded a couple of images from our Google Drive, and we have one of our photos opened up in its own tab here in Photoshop. The next thing we need to do to start building our photo joiner and adding multiple individual images together is to get this photo here into our joiner Photoshop document. Now, I got a really good question today. You can import multiple images into Photoshop. However, I'm going to show us how to copy and paste and use the marquee tool. The reason I'm going to show us this technique is because it's going to come in handy in some of our next assignments and projects where we're working with layer masks and some additional selection tools. So there are some other ways that you could accomplish this task, but I'm going to stick with the copy and paste method using the marquee tool because I would like for us to be comfortable with this skill, and I would like for us to start to work with and get comfortable with selection tools, because as we go throughout the year, we will be learning additional selection tools. So without further ado, how can I get this image over into that Photoshop document? Well, when we're going to copy and paste, we need to make sure we're really communicating with Photoshop and we're telling Photoshop exactly what we want it to do. So for this situation, I want to select this entire image and tell Photoshop to copy all of the information here in this image. So in order to do that, I'm going to go here to the left and click on the Rectangular Marquee tool. Okay, the symbol here in our toolbar looks like a little rectangle made up of dotted lines. If you go over here and you are seeing a circle instead of a rectangle, then you need to right click and make sure that you have the Rectangular Marquee tool selected and not the elliptical marquee tool selected. Okay? And once I click on that, I can click and drag to pull these little dotted lines all the way around my image. Now I'm going to let go of my little mouse button, and now I have these little dotted lines that are moving around my entire image. And congratulations, you have officially made your first selection in Photoshop. Okay? Whenever we are working in Photoshop and we want to apply a tool or a technique to a specific area of our image, we make a selection to make sure that we are telling Photoshop exactly where we want the next changes to happen. In our case, we want the whole image. So we clicked and we dragged and we put that dotted line, that active selection, all the way around our image. Okay? So now, let's go ahead and copy and paste. You can use your keyboard shortcuts, or you can go up here to Edit, Copy. Now, I'm going to click here into my Photoshop document, Edit, Paste. And you'll see that our photo pops up in our Photoshop document in its very own separate layer here in our Layers panel. Now at first, this looks a little weird, right? Because our photo is way bigger than our canvas, right? That blank white Photoshop document we started with. That's totally fine. In our next step here, we will see how to resize that with our free transform tool. Okay? But to get started, right, just to review, let me go ahead and File, Open. I'm going to open up another image. I'll grab the one with the mug and the sugar. And let's say I also want to copy and paste and get this file into my Photoshop document. I'm going to make sure I have my Rectangular Marquee tool selected. I'm going to click and drag and pull these dotted lines all the way around my image. I'm going to let go of my mouse button, and I will see the dotted lines moving around my whole image. I have now made a selection. Photoshop understands exactly how much of the image I want to copy and in our case, we want to copy the whole thing. Now I can use my keyboard shortcuts, or I can go up to Edit, Copy, go back here to my tab with my Photoshop document, Edit, Paste, and now I have a second image in its own separate layer here in my Photoshop document. Perfect. We'll move on to our next step, and we will resize our images and start moving our different layers around.